number 11 in the fall semester review for CPM. This is in Delta Math. This one says that Roy got 8 novels from a bookstore. Some of the novels were $4. The rest were $6. He paid $42 for the novels. How many $4 novels did he buy? Okay, so we have to set up the system of equations. So it was similar to the other system of equations that we did with the notebooks and the paper clips. This time it's 2 different novels. So we'll call X the $4 novels and Y the $6 novels. So we'll have Y and X. And it says he bought 8 novels from the bookstore. So X plus Y. So the total number of books is 8. So I'm typing this in to Desmos here. So he bought 8 novels. Okay, so the $4 novels and the $6 novels together is a total of 8 novels. Now we're going to talk about the price. So we said $4 novels and $6 novels, and the total price was $42. So that one would equal 42. So what we're looking at is the solution where these lines intersect. So they intersect at 3, 5. Remember, we have to know what X is and Y is. And we said X is the $4 novel, Y is the $6 novel. And they're asking how many $4 novels did he buy? So they're asking for X, which this point where they cross, this intersection is your solution. So he bought 3 $4 novels. In this one, you're given an equation, and you're told that if 4x equals 15 minus 7x, then x equals what? So they're asking you to solve for x. Okay, again, you can solve this by hand. You can move all of your x terms to one side, your constants, numbers to the other, and work it by hand. But you can also, when you're finding a solution, remember it is simply the x-intercept in the graph. So I could type this in, 4x equals 15 minus 7x, and I could look at this and it's going to tell me my solution. Now it does say to leave it as a fraction if necessary. So I want to know what this number is as a fraction. I can come over here and I can hit fraction. Now that was probably a rounded decimal because I don't think that's the fraction that they want. So I'm going to also show you solving this one algebraically, because I really don't think they're wanting that decimal. So this is what we start with. If we are moving x's to the same side, I'm going to add this 7x to the other side. So if I add 7x to the other side, that would become 11x equals 15. And then I would have to get x by itself. I would divide the 11 over to the other side. So I would get x equals 15 over 11. Now that decimal matches what that said graphically, but yes, this one was truncated. That's why it gave us that weird fraction, because it was actually longer than that. But they said to leave it as a fraction, so 15 over 11 is what we're going to leave that as. So we solved that one by hand. Okay, another factor question. This is what we've covered most recently. Okay, so again, you can factor by hand, but you can also find your solutions in Desmos and work backward from the solutions sometimes. Now again, you may not like doing this. Maybe you want to just do it by hand, and that's fine too. But I'm going to show you what it looks like in Desmos for those that prefer this. So 3x squared plus 11x minus 4. So our solutions here are at -4. Okay, and then this one's a fraction. Okay, 0.3 repeating. If you don't know what it is, just type it in, a bunch of threes. It's 1/3. So we're getting -4 and +1/3. Now remember, if -4 is the solution, okay, think of it this way. If they're saying x equals -4, okay, if I want it as a factor, I want it with the x, I would have to add it to the other side. So it would become x plus 4. So x plus 4 is a factor. Okay, and then you can think of the other one the same way. If they're telling us x equals 1/3, okay, I would multiply the 3 over to the other side, and that would be 3x equals 1. And then I would subtract that 1 to the other side. It would become 3x minus 1. Now, that's how I would get everything to the same side of the equation, or to the same side of the equal sign to see it as a factor. So for 1/3 to be a solution, it's 3x minus 1 as the factor. Okay, and you could always check this. I told y'all you can check graphically. Okay, put what you think are the factors. So I think it's x plus 4 and 3x minus 1. Okay, and look at that graph compared to, I don't know why this isn't moving now. The original, and it's one right on top of the other. You can see that's the exact same graph. Okay, because you can turn that red color on and off and see the other graph is right underneath it. Okay, so we got those factors correct. All right, so here we're looking to simplify. So this is knowing exponent rules. Okay, when you've got an exponent outside parentheses, that exponent is everything inside the parentheses is being raised to that power. So the numerator, the 3, is being raised to the 5th power, and the denominator x is being raised to the 5th power. Okay, so both the 3 is raised to the 5th power and the x is raised to the 5th power. So if you were going to write it out, that's how I would write that out. Now, I can simplify 3 to the 5th power. Okay, that means 3 times itself 5 times. But you get a calculator, you can just type it in like this, or if you prefer, it's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. You can see you get the same thing. So it should be 243 up here over x to the 5th. So 243 over x to the 5th. You could also work backward from your answer choices on a question like that. Type in the way that it was originally written. 3 over x, this, to the 5th. And then type in the answer that we got, which was 243 over x to the 5th. And again, we don't know anything about those graphs, but I can see that they're exactly the same. You see that? It just shows you that that's equivalent. If things are equivalent, if they're equal to each other, they will graph the exact same way. Okay, so keep that in mind now that you're getting to use Desmos. Compare graphs from your answer choices. Same thing. I could just compare this with all of my answer choices, but actually, I don't know if this one would work that way. We can try it, but I'm saying I don't know if it will because there's X and Y. So let's give it a shot. I don't know if it will. Yeah, that's not going to graph. See how we get that little warning next to it? because we've got X and Y and no equal sign. So I'm actually not going to be able to do this looking at a graph, but I'm just going to type here what's going to happen. Every term in here is going to get this exponent, this power that's outside the parentheses. So the 3 is getting raised to the 4th power. The X is getting raised to the 4th power. And the Y to the 4th is getting raised to the 4th power. Y to the 4th to the 4th. Okay, so what you have to remember is when you have a power on a power, you multiply those. So 4 times 4 is 16. Oops. So that would change to a 16 there. So this is what we should be looking for. And we can simplify 3 to the 4th is 81. So that's going to be 81 x to the 4th, y to the 16th. Okay, so you've got to remember those exponent rules. Here they want us to find C, okay, that's missing right here. Okay, so we just want to see what, this is a factoring question. On the right, it's not factored. On the left, it's factored, except they haven't given us what that other constant should be. So if we know that these two terms at the ends have to multiply to give us our C value of -20, you can simply ask yourself, -5 times what would give us -20? -5 times what would give you the -20? Yeah, it's a 4. And you can check that. You can say, okay, -5 times 4. Yep, that would give me the -20. Or if you didn't have a number, if you had answer choices, you could plug them in. The whole equations you could plug in. You could plug in the left side, you could plug in the right side and check it. So I could plug in 2x minus 5 times 3x plus c. And then the right side is 6x squared minus 7x minus 20. So I'm trying to see which value of C would make these equivalent to each other because there's an equal sign here. So you could plug in all your answer choices in for C. So let's say, because we want that black graph to overlap with that red one. So I can change my C value until they overlap. And look, there it is. When C is 4, you see how they're the exact same graph? Does everybody see that? So it's C is when C is 4. So you can set the left side as an equation and or as an expression in the Desmos and the right side and just move this slider for C and see what C value would make them the same. What C value would make the left equal the right. And in this case, it's 4. On 17, it says that the graph shows the cost of a canoe rental per hour. What is the cost per hour to rent the canoe? So we just have to interpret the graph. It's so 0, 0. So if it's rented for 0 hours, it costs $0. Okay. Here, 2, 24. So 2 hours is $24. So what do you think this 1 hour is? What's the dollar amount that would be here? Yeah. But if 2 hours costs $24 and 4 hours costs $48, that's $12 an hour. So that's all you're interpreting the graph. So $12 per hour. So we're just typing in the 12. Okay, what is the equation graphed below? Okay, so this one's multiple choice. Remember, these are all in mx plus b form, y equals mx plus b. B is the y-intercept. My y-intercept is right here at -3. So I know immediately my equation, my b value should be -3. Okay, that's these two. Okay, these are out. They have the wrong b value. Then the only difference in these two is the slope. Notice this one has a positive 2/3 slope. This one has a negative 3/2 slope. I don't even need to look at the numbers. Is this slope positive or negative? It's negative. We read a graph from left to right. It's coming down. I know the slope is negative. So I know the slope is negative, and I can see the y-intercept is at -3. So that's got to be it. It's the only one that has those both correct. Okay, you could have plugged all those in to see which graph matched if you needed to. But if you know a negative versus a positive slope, and you know your y-intercept, it was quicker than typing them all in. All right, solving a system, again, is looking for the point where the lines cross. So I'm going to type in the two equations, -3x plus 2y equals 12, and 3y equals -2x plus 5. So here the lines are graphed. I'm looking for the point where they intersect. -2, 3. And it says to give your answer as an ordered pair. So we've got to type those parentheses, -2, 3. So we learned how to do this algebraically with substitution and elimination. But since you're getting Desmos on this exam, you can just type them in and look at the graph. Again, it's just where do they intersect? That's the solution to a system.
Everything looks standard.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Wait, is it all of them multiple choice or no?
The majority is definitely multiple choice. I would have to go back and look at it. I can't remember if there might be a couple fill in the blank, type in your answer questions, but the majority, if not all, is multiple choice. And the questions, this review was made to match the exam. So these types of questions that you're seeing are the types of questions you're going to see in Aware on the exam. Okay, so I would definitely make sure that you are going over these the afternoon, the morning before, the evening before your exam to refresh your memory. Maybe go back and watch these videos. We're not going to finish them all in this class period. We're not going to get through the whole thing. And so I'll record the others and you can go and watch the video of me going over the others later too. Y'all's test isn't until Thursday, so you've got plenty of time to do that. All right, so this one gives us a graph. It says which equation represents the line below. So same thing. Is this a positive or negative slope? Is this line going up or down when we read it from left to right? Up. So we should have a positive slope. So we can eliminate these that have a negative in front of the x. Those are out. So it's got to be one of these two. And then what is the y-intercept? Where does it cross the y-axis? At 1. This is the one that has a 1 for the b value. So that's it. Now, if you don't remember those rules, you can actually type all those in, Desmos, and see which one gets you the correct graph. All right, on 21, which expression is equivalent? So this is another one where you have to kind of go through using your exponent rules. So I can't graph this, but I'm just going to use these lines in Desmos to show my work. So I've got 4x cubed, y to the 4th, and then all of that is raised to the 2nd power. So remember, every term in there is getting squared. So the 4 is getting squared. The x cubed is getting squared. The y to the 4th is getting squared. Every term gets that square. So 4 squared, 4 times 4 is 16. And then when you have a power on a power, we multiply. So that's going to be 3 times 2 is 6. So that's x to the 6th. And 4 times 2 is 8. So that's y to the 8th. So it should be 16, x to the 6th, y to the 8th. Okay, so you can check back on our Canvas for the other video links. We got through number 21. That's the majority of it. We're through 68% of the review already. All right, y'all have a good one. Good luck on all your exams this week.